Kita tamaskat na rach do tapig. Kon nas komonan dana kapi wi samigo ya ko tata wi chara poista ta koma. Do hi me do gisag. Ka wi mo pahta ma koma. Ka wi mi nan weganots. Elders gitiak, chiefs, ugamahanag, counselors with the suyok, samagan sihanag, veterans, both armed forces and RCMP, treaty commissioner, special guests, MLA, Hirsch, I know you're here, all the other chiefs that are here present, ladies and gentlemen. To timitig, no ako marantig. Huwag mo dito tini piwi sa mga goy ano ta kito ansasay. Magagayaso ta nagisimaran siwan. Yung nagiskaw piyag na piyo do ko na mistake iti damag. Kaya bits me na kagipita mano ta kitawitap mego hakawas nagimi dito tini ipita mag uwitoin. Yung ako giti o ta kawitap mego. Igi wisa mit mana wigi tawitap mag tima nigi minna hitta kuma nigi yatsamot. Kaya bitsaw ni man nigiskis. To the prayer, thank you, Don. I just said that I was a police officer here many years ago, although I didn't mention that Donna has a strong connection to the community as well. She was a nurse at Rossern Hospital and met many of the folks from Beardy's as they went through there, and also worked with the ambulance service and transporting people to the hospital. I have lots of fond memories of Beardy's in the area, but in particular, I remember a man who treated me so well and who invited me into his home for no reason other than to be friendly and to offer me tea. And we would share stories. He would do most of the talking. But I spoke, and I still speak, my own Cree of Woodland Cree, and a little bit different going into a community with the Plains Cree or Y dialect. And he never questioned that. He was very patient with me, even though at times we use different words for different things. But nonetheless, Angus Esperance was a real inspiration for me, and just when I heard his name being attached to this event, I was just so pleased, and certainly pleased to be with you here today. I'm grateful for all the elders and knowledge keepers for ensuring that our stories, languages, and traditions are not lost, so that they can be passed down and shared, so that we never forget who we are and where we come from. No humpan, never forget who you are or where you're from. And I always remember those words. Because we actually literally were posted from Newfoundland to British Columbia in those early years. And so this cultural knowledge, these traditions, these ceremonies, these practices are so important to maintain and to even strengthen and grow. And this is so vitally important, especially to our younger generations. In today's ceremony, I understand that the treaty medal that will be presented was struck by the Canadian Mint. And we all know what's on that medal. But it's always good to be reminded of two people standing there. One, the Queen's representative, who I happen to be in my current role here in Saskatchewan. And at times I do struggle with that, to be quite honest with you. But I was told many, many years ago that in order to create change or to create understanding of our peoples, we need to be more involved in places or positions that we may not have traditionally occupied. So I've resolved to do that. The medal obviously shows two people, Queen's representative, as I said, and a chief representing the First Nations shaking hands. And the shaking hands obviously is very symbolic, but it's a powerful symbol of two peoples coming together and agreeing through treaty a sharing of this land, this beautiful land that we stand on today, here in Treaty 6, of which I am a member as well. The treaties are foundational to our country. It wouldn't be Canada without the treaties. And they are living agreements. Some would say, and I agree, that they are a sacred covenant, an agreement at the highest level. And that certainly makes them powerful agreements. And to benefit everyone. And you know the term that was coined by a former treaty commissioner, that we are all treaty people, because we all should benefit. And I say that carefully because we have struggled with that relationship, but that doesn't mean that we walk away from it or give up on it, because they are so meaningful to us. My sincere thanks to Commissioner Culbertson and her staff for continuing to educate and teach people, Saskatchewan people, about the treaties. It's difficult work at times, I know, but it's important work. Thank you for all your work that you do. I also want to acknowledge the work that you do around reconciliation. An important time in our history, the history of this country. I want to acknowledge the chiefs of the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations for the work that you do, the important ongoing work that you do in honoring the spirit and intent of the treaties, and also promoting and protecting and working hard for the implementation of promises made. Thank you for your work. So this week marks 144 years. It seems like a long time, but really it's just a blink of an eye in terms of history. But an important period as we acknowledge the events of that day. As with First Nations, most First Nations, members of this community have shown extraordinary resilience in the face of hardship. Thank you, all of you, for honoring your history, I guess our history in some ways, and your ancestors, our ancestors, and for contributing to your community and beyond. You know, I mentioned the RCMP earlier. That was my previous career. And Beardy's has a tremendous history in terms of not only the armed forces, but the RCMP as well. And in my recollection, I remember 26 of your band members becoming members of the RCMP. Probably the highest in anywhere in terms of, at least in my experience. So a tremendous sense of dedication and service, not only to your community, but to the country as well. I will close by bringing greetings on behalf of Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada. And I would also like to share those words with you in my own language of Woodland Cree, is a practice that I started early in my time in this office. Nimadidi tengi tapita mataraanots, atamiskatuin, ki chogumasku tse Elizabeth II. Ki chogumasku no, utomagi taski no Canada gitama. Kanaskumit na rakdo.